Hi, friends. I wish we all could be meeting in person right now, but in these uncertain times, we've had to cancel plans for our spring open house. We still wanted to get some FaceTime in with everybody, so I thought that we would all show you what working from home has looked like for Friends of the Eel. We are really fortunate that we've been able to keep up this important work, securing protections for the Eel River, and so each of our staff are just going to tell you a little bit about ourselves and try to interact like we would at a normal open house. So I'm Alicia Haman. I'm the executive director, and I've been with Friends of the Eel for 7 years this month. And I guess just like a little anecdote about myself and the river, the species in the Eel River that I identify with most is the Pacific lamprey. They spend up to 7 years as aniseeds in the substrate, and that's kind of the process that I went through. I was our administrative director for 6 years. I spent that time working for the river and learning about this incredible place, and I emerged just last summer as executive director. I feel really honored to be representing the organization and this really spectacular watershed. Scott, you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. I'm Scott Driessen. I'm Conservation Director for Friends of the Eel River. I've been with the organization since 2011, I think. Seems like longer than that, but it's a long time. I really identify with the summer steelhead in the Eel River. We've known a lot of things from the outset here at Friends of the Eel. We've known that Scott Dam needs to come out, that we have to allow our fish to get back into the upper watershed. But we've only learned in the last few years that there's a specific tiny genetic locus that controls whether a fish is going to be a summer steelhead or a winter steelhead. And now researchers have found those genes in the rainbow trout who've been trapped above Scott Dam for a century. That means all we need to do is get the dam out and these fish can come back, And I really identify with that ability of the fish to hole up and survive the hard times and then come back stronger than ever. And the other thing that goes with the backdrop here is sort of my role at the organization. We try to use law and science, reason, and good arguments, but sometimes you just gotta put on the black hat and ride out. And when that's necessary, we do it. We're proud of it, and we get the job done.
Yeah, that's what we're here for. Thanks, Scott.
Yeah.
David, what about you?
Well, this is an organization I joined probably 18 years ago. The founder of Friends, Narananda, asked me to join the board and staff, and she said, "Can you help us get our fish back?" And I went, "Sure, no biggie." Well, that was 18 years ago. The organization's been around for 25. And slowly I have recognized that these kind of changes, in fact, do take time. And we're being successful. It's pretty astonishing. We have a small, extraordinarily skilled organization. I'm real pleased to be working with you guys, with my compatriots here, with Senator McGuire and his staff, kicking off the Great Redwood Trail Authority and beginning to see that maybe in my lifetime, there will be an ability to walk the length of the Eel River, which is pretty damned amazing.
Well, hopefully sometime in the future, we'll all be walking along the Great Redwood Trail and watching a free flow in Eel River.
Hell yeah.
Amen.
Eula, you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Eula Varley. I'm the new administrative manager at Friends of the Eel River. I started working here last December. I do office management and I support our executive staff. I also assist with fundraising, outreach events, organizing, volunteer management, website content and maintenance, and social media accounts management. And I'm really excited to be a part of Friends of the Eel River.
Great. Yeah, we're happy to have you. Hi, friends. We know everyone is struggling in their own way right now, and I just want to say that we at Friends of the Eel River are so thankful that we've been able to continue our important work protecting the Eel River and its fisheries. If you are able to help us continue this important work, we appreciate it now more than ever. One fun way that you can support us and look good while doing so is to purchase some of our redwood salmon merchandise. We have newly printed t-shirts with the same great image in new colors and styles for the entire family. I'm getting ready to welcome the newest friend of the Eel River to our community, so I'm especially excited about these adorable onesies that we now have available. So like I said, styles for the entire family. Please visit our website, eelriver.org, or contact us at foer@eelriver.org. I want to give you an update on some of our major program work. And of course, the big news starts with the Potter Valley Project. Since we were founded 25 years ago, Friends of the Eel River has been committed to removing the dams in the upper mainstem eel and restoring fish passage to that spectacular upper watershed. In 2017, when PG&E began the relicensing process for the Potter Valley Project, the opportunity for dam removal finally became real. Many of you are familiar with the saga that's ensued since then, so I'll spare you a lot of the details, but through PG&E's attempts to relicense, auction, sell, and ultimately abandon the project amidst their bankruptcy, a diverse group of stakeholders, now called the Two Basin Partnership, came together to seek another route. These stakeholders are a subset of the ad hoc committee convened by Congressman Huffman, whose work towards a two-basin solution was guided by two co-equal goals of restoring volitional fish passage in the Eel River while avoiding adverse impacts to Russian River water supplies. So in 2019, the Two Basin Partnership submitted a notice of intent to relicense and ultimately change the project. And just this week, they submitted a feasibility study report to FERC outlining a plan to remove Scott Dam, further evaluate fish passage at Cape Horn Dam, and make improvements to water supply infrastructure that will make a winter season only diversion capable of meeting water supply needs. While Friends of the Eel River is really pleased to see this commitment to dam removal from the partnership, which includes water supply interests in Sonoma and Mendocino counties, there's still a great deal of work that has to be done to ensure that the plan meets the objectives that Friends of the Eel has been working on for the past 25 years. So we will continue working with our allies in the Two Basin Partnership to ensure that the necessary resources are secured and appropriately prioritized toward fixing the harms that the Potter Valley Project has caused to the Eel River over the past 100 years. Both PG&E and beneficiaries of the diverted Eel River water will have to pay their fair shares. And most importantly, we must secure volitional fish passage for these imperiled native fish as soon as we possibly can. In other news, our efforts to secure meaningful groundwater management in the lower Eel continue to progress. Many of you know the background on this issue, that the state passed the Sustainable Groundwater Management Act in 2014. They declared the lower Eel Basin a medium priority basin, but the county disagreed with this designation. So rather than develop a groundwater sustainability agency and accompanying plan for management, they disputed the designation and then again tried to avoid responsibility by submitting an alternative plan. Well, eventually the Department of Water Resources rejected the county's alternative plan. So now they're required to establish this groundwater sustainability agency and submit a plan to the state by January of 2022. Just last week at the supervisors meeting, they voted to form such an agency and will now spend the next 2 years modeling groundwater, surface water interactions and developing a sustainability plan using a $1.9 million planning grant from the Department of Water Resources. We're closely monitoring development of this plan, and we've contracted with our own hydrologists to conduct an analysis of groundwater, surface water interactions in the lower Eel. We're concerned with ensuring that any plan the county develops protects water resources for fish in the lower river, addresses and prepares for sea level rise, and contains effective mechanisms to reduce pumping when conditions require. On the cannabis front, last fall, we secured a settlement agreement with Humboldt County over our lawsuit challenging their inadequate cannabis cultivation regulations. And we are now continuing our efforts to follow up to ensure that the funds designated from that settlement are used appropriately to reduce sediment impacts in the most sensitive salmonid habitats. We're also concerned about trespass operations on public lands in the Eel watershed, primarily in the Mendocino National Forest. We're exploring ways to help with identification and mitigation of those operations, and ultimately want to reduce the prevalence of toxins across our public lands. And finally, summer steelhead. We are continuing to move forward in our work protecting these incredible fish. In the fall of 2018, we submitted petitions to list Northern California Summer Steelhead as endangered under the state and federal ESAs. And in February of this year, we were notified by NOAA Fisheries that after a 12-month status review, they found that a listing was not warranted, so our petition was denied. We frankly expected this from the federal government, so we're now currently supporting additional research by scientists at UC Davis, and are excited that they have newly released, soon to be published research that supports our claims about the Eel River's unique summer steelhead. So I hope you're all doing well and finding ways to stay sane and safe during this unusual time. And I look forward to a time in the future when we can gather and celebrate Friends of the Eel River's hard work and victories over the last 25 years, and especially recently, protecting the Eel River and its remarkable native fish. Take care, everyone.